Perhaps you are in the process of growing your business. Maybe you are in a leadership role. Maybe you're growing your business, you're in a leadership role, and you found yourself to be in more highly visible positions or situations, and someone called you a name. Yes, they called you a name in writing, whether called you this name on a comment, they called you this name in a review online, or via email or mail. What do you do? What do you do in these situations? In this video, I'm going to share with you a couple of strategies for you to try the next time that someone decides they want to call you a name, in hopes that it helps you to be able to better defend yourself when these specific situations happen. Now, if you are new to me, welcome, welcome. And if you are one of my absolutely amazing subscribers, welcome back, friend. So good to see you today. This channel heavily focuses in on advanced communication skills and strategies that will help you to communicate more confidently and concisely in those very high stakes, high pressure situations. Now, I want to preface this by saying that today we are focusing on the written communication. When I say communication, all aspects of it. And I'll give you a bit of context as to what you can do if someone calls your name, because it happens very often. And I'll share with you what just happened to me literally a few moments ago when I checked it, where someone called me a name online. I'll share with you some insights in terms of what exactly did I do, and etc. Typically, what happens when someone calls your name online, there's a decision making algorithm that is very similar to what you would use in an in person setting in terms of how you respond. Let me give you a brief insight of that. The first thing that you want to try to do is, whenever you see that comment, someone calls you a name specifically, and I'll share with you my example here in a moment, but someone calls you a name, they say something inappropriate about you, you have to read it a couple of times. Now, why do I say read the comment a few times? Because typically when we see those type of comments that come up specifically as an insult, or someone just saying, being really mean to us, or saying something very disrespectful, or name calling, we read it once and we respond emotionally immediately. There's an emotional response. And sometimes we do not logically think through this in terms of what's the best way for me to approach this. Now, before I go into the next strategy, I want to say hello to those of you watching the live today. First, let me know what part of the big, beautiful world you all are joining from today. And then, number two, has someone ever called you a name? Have they ever called you a name online, in a review, or etc.? Let me know in the comments below. So let me say hello to Laxman Singh. Hope you're doing well today. Resilience 50. Hope you're doing well. Now, as I mentioned, the very first thing that you want to do is read the comment. Read the comment a couple of times. You need to understand what is going on here and what is the intent of this comment specifically. Now, why do I say what's the intent of this comment? This is the same decision making algorithm that I share with you all here on my YouTube channel to help you communicate more confidently and concisely under pressure. You have to make a decision relatively quickly. Is this comment friendly or is this comment unfriendly? And if it's unfriendly, then you need to go ahead and respond to it in the appropriate way. That's the first thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do is to make sure that you are in a situation where you can respond with taking the emotion out. Focus on the actual words that were being said and articulate it in a way, whether you're doing it via responding to a review online, maybe you are responding to a comment that someone actually made, or etc. It just depends, but make sure you're at a place where you are responding in a very calm and professional way. The reason why I tell you to make sure that you read it at least 2 or 3 times, because it allows you to calm down and look at it from the lens of, this is exactly what the intent is. I need to respond accordingly. Now, I say this a lot on my channel, and specifically, if you have a situation that comes up where the comment is a bit in the middle, maybe it's not friendly, maybe it's not highly contentious, maybe it's in the middle, I would highly recommend for you to always respond in a way that is a bit more direct, even if you feel as if this comment is in the middle. Let me go to the chat. So you have Resilience 50 said, "What is going on, ma'am? We are talking about what to do if someone calls you a name or an insult online." That's what I have listed on the title for today. Now, specifically going into this, let's talk about it. We've talked about number one, you want to read the comment at least a couple times. Number two, you want to take a moment and respond in a professional way. Be calm in your response, address the facts, be very factual, don't go highly emotional. But there are ways, there are words that you can say that can add just a little bit more context, I would say, to address this person as being very rude to you. What's the final thing I would recommend for you to do? If it is a public comment, respond appropriately, respond professionally, and all that. But you ultimately have to shut it down. It depends on specifically what happens and what is being said in terms of how you want to make sure that is being communicated. Now, let me give you a scenario that just happened to me today. And for those of you joining, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well today. I do want to let you know that this channel focuses heavily on advanced communication skills and strategies. So this is not the YouTube channel where we talk about nonsense and etc. I have to say that based on some things I saw in the chat earlier. This is actually more of a serious type of channel. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Apologize about that. Now, what happened to me and why I'm bringing this up specifically as this topic is the following. I did a video a couple of days ago, and I'm focusing on advanced communication skills and strategies. And anytime I see any leaders out there that are doing something really well, or perhaps there's an area of their communication that they could have done better with, then I like to do a video to show my audience exactly how you can not make those mistakes or adopt some of the things that they did specifically in how they communicated. Now, there was a speech that was completed by the Vice President of the United States, which is JD Vance, a couple weeks ago, actually last week, I believe. And in that speech, he was actually booed in the speech by the audience. Now, I did a video on that. It is on my channel. You'll see it. But I did a short yesterday, and I've received several comments on it about people having something to say. Of course, it is a topic that is obviously very important to many of us now in terms of what's going on. But my purpose is to look at it from a public speaking standpoint in terms of, well, why did the audience boo him? And what are some things that potentially he could have done to prepare better so that they didn't actually boo him? Booing is something that no one wants to have happen, especially as a leader when you're speaking to a group of people. Now, what happened is that I've had a couple comments on this short specifically. You'll see it on my channel, and one of the individuals made a comment and said, "Biden has been doing this for 4 years, you goofball." Now, okay, that's an insult to me. I'm not a goofball, and that's someone calling a name, which is the reason why I'm going to walk you through specifically what I did in this situation. First, I read it a couple times. Even though it was only one sentence, I read it a few times because I know myself. I want to make sure that I'm responding in a very professional response, but I'm still going to respond in a way to let you know that that's not okay. And there's probably better ways for you to communicate. The second thing I want you to keep in mind as it relates to how I made this process in terms of how I decided to respond is that it's important to understand when someone decides they want to call you names, it is a testament to their low level of communication skills. Please, if you can try not to take this, don't take it personally. When someone calls you a name or calls you an insult online, typically that person is at a lower level of communication skills. They are. And especially if they don't know you personally, they're just not at your level, especially if you're subscribed to my channel where you learn how to communicate at that higher level than your peers. What did I do? I read it a couple of times. I decided to respond in a factual way, and I decided to shut it down. Now, how did I do that? Specifically, if someone calls you a name, I don't necessarily have to say stop calling me a name. I just say it in a way to where you may want to watch a couple videos on my channel to learn how to communicate better with less insults and definitely less name calling. Because when you think about name calling, this is something that children do. Children call each other's names. My daughter has read a book years ago, and the book was called Bad Kitty. And in the book, the book, they call people goofy. When I hear goofy or goofball, that's something that I would say that sounds like I'm reading something from a second grader. And why would I, as a high stakes communication strategist, even stoop down to the level of a second grader? I'm not going to do that. However, you do have to shut those comments down, and you do have to respond in a way to where it showcases that you are able to communicate in a professional way, but still be able to address the issue in a manner that reflects your level of professionalism, but shows that other person, don't try that. And this is what I have done many times in comments. There's several comments that I'm going to do videos on in terms of how do I respond. I'll share those with you on my channel, but there's a lot of different ways that you can make this situation work for you. I want to say hello to Vathis Wamba, India. Hello, hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well today. So I've shared with you a couple strategies to keep in mind if someone calls you a name. First, take a moment to read the comment at least 2 or 3 times. I know. It may be painful and you may not want to do it, but make sure you take some time to read it. Why? Because it gives you a chance to calm down. Number 2, respond in a very calm and professional way. Number 3, you need to shut the comment down. So you need to make sure that you're responding in a way that essentially ends the conversation, but highlights that you are the professional, you have the expertise, and that you are not going to let someone just challenge you publicly and let them just get away with it. Okay, this says, are you in a Jeep? Yes, I am in a Jeep Gladiator, actually. Thank you for asking. So let me know what other questions you have specifically as it relates to this topic. If you are new to me, I go live here on YouTube at least 7 times a week. So I have over 1,000 videos here on how you can learn how to communicate more confidently and concisely under pressure as a leader. If you happen to be a woman in leadership, you're welcome to reach out to me at exciteexcellence.org to get some insight in terms of, sorry, I have my phone on, but to get some insight specifically as to how you can communicate at that higher level than your peers or navigate some of those challenges that come up. Now, I do want to mention one other thing specifically. When you are in those public situations, you have to be mindful of how people are communicating with you depending on your gender. So for instance, the person that called me a goofball name was Bo, and Bo is not a female name. And so when I see something like that, for me as a woman, I take that really seriously and I'm not playing around with that. Vice versa, if you happen to be a male and someone says something to you that's not appropriate, this is exactly what you have to just be mindful of. You have to be mindful. There's gender biases all the time, and particularly I focus with helping support women in leadership roles. And so you have to be very mindful in terms of how you respond depending on who is saying what they're saying. All right, but this says, how old are you? Just asking. I am old enough. I'm old enough to be around many decades. I've been actually a public speaker for over 20 years. So I've been around for a long time. Thank you for asking. So I appreciate you all being here today. Let me know how I can support you depending on what happens the rest of this day as it relates to this post that I did and the comments I received may dictate what I talk about in the live this evening. I did not anticipate that this post would receive comments, and I just posted it yesterday. So I'll let you know what else happens. I'm here to support you and help you communicate confidently and concisely under pressure, whether you're a woman in leadership, a man in leadership, or someone that's thinking about leadership. I am here to support you on your journey. Even if that means you're going to see me deal with contentious situations, that's what I'm here for. I want you to learn how to handle yourself under pressure so that the next time someone calls you an insult or name calls you or calls you a name specifically, then you know exactly what it is that you want to do. All right, I want to say, let's see, Vathis says, love your outfit. Love your fit. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I hope y'all have an absolutely amazing day. Join me this evening when we go live, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.